It started with a text message. "Hey girl, want to come to a concert with me this weekend?" Princess Tolliver didn't hesitate. She was 31, ambitious, full of life, and ready for a break from the grind. A night of music, friends, and laughter. That was all it was supposed to be. But before the night was over, she would be lying in a pool of blood, caught in the middle of a war she didn't even know existed. January 16th, 2023, Sanford, Florida, 2:20 a.m. A black Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van speeds down County Road 46A. Inside, 13 friends are singing, laughing, still buzzing from the Jackboy concert. Princess is glowing, nursing student, FSU employee, proud sorority sister, finally enjoying a carefree night. What no one in that van knows is that 4 cars are stalking them. Inside those cars are men with assault rifles and handguns, men desperate to earn respect in a violent Florida gang called on top forever, men who had no idea who was inside that van and didn't care. Moments later, gunfire rips through the night. Dozens of bullets tear into metal and flesh. Panic, screams. 6 women collapse, bleeding. 5 cling to life. 1 never makes it.
Busy road near Sanford. It left 1 person dead, multiple others hurt. Shots were fired earlier this morning near Reinhardt Road and County Road 46A, just steps away from an apartment complex there.
Princess Tolliver wasn't a rival. She wasn't part of any beef. She wasn't even on their radar. But in the chaos of a feud born online, rap dices, gang rivalries, social media taunts, she became collateral damage. Think about that. 1 simple yes to a friend's text message. 1 night out. 1 wrong van mistaken for another, and it cost her everything. This isn't just another crime story. It's a chilling reminder of how digital drama turns into real bloodshed, how gangs crave notoriety more than human life, and how innocence means nothing when bullets start flying. And what came after? 13 months of silence, lies, and a hunt for the killers that would finally uncover a truth darker than anyone imagined. Because the question isn't just who killed Princess Tolliver. It's why she had to die at all. Stay tuned as we reveal everything about this case. Drop a comment and let me know what you think about this story. Welcome to our channel. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Like and share this video to help raise awareness and spread caution. Let's begin.
She was simply out that night, enjoying time with her friends, enjoying a concert. Her murder was the result of the criminal actions of others who demonstrated a total disregard for human life.
Princess Aura Tolliver wasn't just another statistic. She was a 31-year-old woman from Tallahassee with dreams, aspirations, and people who loved her deeply. As a Florida influencer, she had built a following by sharing her authentic personality and connecting with people through social media. Her content reflected someone who embraced life fully, someone who wasn't afraid to travel, experience new things, and support the music she loved. On that fateful night in January 2023, Princess had made the journey from Tallahassee to Sanford specifically to see Jackboy perform. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. She had planned this trip, coordinated with friends, and was genuinely excited about the show. Those who knew her described someone who lit up any room she entered, someone who brought joy to others through her online presence and personal relationships. Her father, who would later attend the press conference announcing the arrest in his daughter's case, represented a family devastated by senseless violence. Princess wasn't involved in gang activity. She wasn't connected to any territorial disputes. She wasn't part of the ongoing conflict between the 2 rappers. She was simply a music fan who wanted to enjoy a night out with friends. The 6 women in that van were all innocent bystanders. They had attended the concert together, likely spending the evening dancing, singing along to songs they knew, and creating the kind of memories that friends cherish. They were probably discussing the show as they walked to their vehicle, maybe planning their next adventure together, completely unaware that they had been marked for death by gang members who didn't even know who they were. To understand how Princess Tolliver died, you have to understand the bitter conflict between 2 Florida rappers that had been brewing for years. Kodak Black and Jackboy weren't always enemies. In fact, They had once been close collaborators in the Florida rap scene. But by 2023, their relationship had deteriorated into a public feud that would have deadly consequences. The tension between these two artists didn't happen overnight. Kodak Black, born Douze Octave, had achieved mainstream success and national recognition, while Jackboy, whose real name is Pierre DeLince, was working to establish his own place in the industry. Both artists came from similar backgrounds in Florida's rap scene, but their paths diverged in ways that created friction. The public breakdown of their relationship became visible on social media platforms where both artists had significant followings. In August 2021, the conflict exploded during a heated argument on Instagram Live that thousands of viewers witnessed in real time. During this public confrontation, Jackboy made shocking allegations, claiming he had physically confronted Kodak Black while performing one of his songs. This wasn't just a war of words. Jackboy was essentially claiming he had assaulted a more successful artist, a claim that would resonate through street credibility that both rappers valued. The concerts and public appearances of both artists became potential flashpoints for violence. Gang members associated with each rapper began viewing events featuring their opposition as opportunities for confrontation. Concert venues, which should be safe spaces for music fans, became potential battlegrounds for disputes that had nothing to do with the music itself. By January 2023, the tension had reached a boiling point. Jackboy was scheduled to perform at the Barn in Sanford, a venue that would unknowingly become the staging ground for tragedy. Gang members connected to Kodak Black's circle saw this concert as an opportunity to send a message. They planned to target Jackboy himself, intending to escalate the conflict from social media posts to real-world violence. The planning for the attack involved multiple gang members from what authorities would later identify as the OTF gang. On top forever, the gang members' plan was straightforward but deadly. Wait for Jackboy to leave the concert venue, identify his vehicle, and open fire. They were prepared to commit murder in a public place, endangering anyone who happened to be nearby. January 16th, 2023 started as a night of celebration for Princess Tolliver and her 5 friends. They had made the trip from Tallahassee to Sanford to see Jackboy perform at the Barn, and the show had been everything they hoped for. As the concert ended after midnight, for Princess and her friends, it had been exactly the kind of night they had planned. Good music, good company, and good memories being made. As the venue emptied and concertgoers made their way to the parking area, Princess and her 5 friends walked together toward their van. They were likely tired but happy, ready to begin the drive back to Tallahassee. The early morning hour meant the area was relatively quiet, with most people either heading home or to after-parties. None of the women had any reason to feel unsafe or concerned about their surroundings. At approximately 2:20 a.m., their night took a horrific turn. Gang members who had been waiting and watching opened fire on their van in a hail of bullets. The attack was sudden, violent, and merciless. The shooters didn't hesitate, didn't attempt to verify their target, and didn't consider who might be inside the vehicle they were attacking. All 6 women in the van were struck by gunfire. The sound of breaking glass and screaming filled the night air as bullets tore through the vehicle. Princess, who had been looking forward to sharing stories about the concert with her social media followers, was fatally wounded. Her friends, bleeding and terrified, found themselves in the middle of a nightmare they couldn't have imagined just moments earlier. The location of the shooting, County Road 46A and Reinhardt Road, became permanently marked in the minds of Princess's family and friends as the place where their loved one's life ended. For the surviving victims, this intersection would forever represent trauma and loss, the place where their night of celebration became a fight for survival. As investigators arrived at the scene, they began the process of determining why 6 innocent women had been targeted for death. The evidence they collected would eventually reveal the shocking truth. The gang members had mistaken the women's van for a vehicle they believed was carrying Jackboy. The attackers had been so focused on their planned retaliation that they failed to properly identify their target. Princess's death at the scene meant she never had the chance to understand why she had been targeted. She died without knowing that her murder was the result of a feud she wasn't part of, committed by people who didn't know her name, over conflicts she had no involvement in. The senselessness of her death would become one of the most heartbreaking aspects of the entire case. The surviving victims faced not only physical recovery from their gunshot wounds, but also the psychological trauma of witnessing their friend's murder and nearly dying themselves. They would carry both visible and invisible scars from a night that was supposed to be about music and friendship.
Just vibing on, Snapchat recording, just normal moments. Everybody's just laughing, having fun, dancing on the Sprinter van. Nothing out of the usual, everything just normal stuff we do.
So then what happened?
And then next thing I know, we just heard a whole bunch of shots. And they just never stopped. I got shot right here in my upper arm, right here. I didn't know, it just felt, because I had on a jean jacket. And I remember just feeling something warm. I'm like, okay, why my arm feeling warm? I'm like, I'm not thinking none of it. And I looked at my jacket, I didn't see no hole or anything until I got off the Sprinter van when we got to the hospital, and I took off my jacket. And then I noticed that it was bleeding.
For Princess's family back in Tallahassee, the phone call delivering news of her death would shatter their world. Their daughter, sister, and loved one had been killed by strangers for reasons that made no sense. The randomness and violence of her death would make grieving even more difficult, as they struggled to understand how attending a concert could result in such tragedy. The investigation into Princess Tolliver's murder would become one of the most comprehensive gang-related cases in Seminole County's history. Sheriff Dennis Lemma and his department understood from the beginning that this wasn't just a random shooting. The targeting of 6 women leaving a specific concert suggested organized criminal activity with clear motives.
So we don't know the answer to the question of what their individual motive was as far as whether or not they were paid for this. We don't believe that they were paid for this. We do believe, as a newly established Crips organization, they were looking for street validation. It was clear that they had been watching this very public debate between Kodak Black and Jackboy, which was not only playing out on social media and in other forms of entertainment media, but also in the court system, and probably took this as an opportunity to make a name for themselves working in this space. The investigation did not reveal that there was any financial compensation or that Kodak Black had arranged direct involvement with them to do this.
Detectives immediately began working to establish connections between the shooting and the known conflict between Kodak Black and Jackboy. The timing of the attack, occurring just after Jackboy's concert, combined with the targeted nature of the shooting, pointed toward retaliation related to the ongoing feud. Investigators started mapping out the gang connections that could link social media disputes to real-world violence. The scope of the investigation was massive. The Seminole County Sheriff said the investigation involved more than 120 search warrants, 6 cars, and 13 arrests with gang connections. This wasn't a simple case that could be solved with a few interviews and basic evidence collection. The gang structure involved in the shooting required extensive surveillance, intelligence gathering, and coordination with multiple law enforcement agencies. The breakthrough came through a combination of traditional detective work and modern technology. Investigators were able to establish that the gang members involved in the shooting belonged to OTF, On Top Forever, a criminal street gang with known presence in Seminole County. This gang identification was crucial because it allowed prosecutors to pursue enhanced charges and demonstrated the organized nature of the crime. Physical evidence played a crucial role in building the case. The driver had ammunition in his car identical to ammunition found at the shooting scene. This ballistic evidence provided direct links between suspects and the crime scene, giving prosecutors concrete proof of participation in the attack. In February 2024, more than a year after Princess's death, Sheriff Lemma announced a major breakthrough. 13 people had been arrested in connection with her murder, representing what he called a significant victory against gang violence in the county. The arrest was the result of months of painstaking investigative work that required coordination between multiple agencies and extensive resources. The arrested individuals faced serious charges related to Princess's murder and the attempted murders of her 5 friends. The case represented more than just individual criminal acts. It was an attack on an entire organization that had planned and executed violence against innocent people. Each arrest brought Princess's family closer to seeing justice for their daughter's senseless death. However, one crucial suspect remained at large, Trayvon Law, who was wanted for first-degree murder in connection with Princess's death. His status as a fugitive meant that the case remained active and that Princess's family couldn't find complete closure. Law enforcement agencies issued alerts and continued their search while the community was warned that a dangerous individual remained free. The father of the woman who died in the gang shooting says he's relieved that police now have 13 people in custody. For Princess's family, each arrest represented progress toward justice, but they understood that their daughter would never come home regardless of how many people were prosecuted. Sheriff Lemma's announcement of the arrest was accompanied by a direct message to Princess's father, acknowledging that while these arrests couldn't bring his daughter back, he hoped they would provide some measure of justice and closure. The personal nature of this acknowledgement reflected the human impact of a case that had affected an entire community.
While these arrests do not bring your daughter back, I hope that you're able to find some solace in knowing that the suspect's fate are now in the hands of the justice system.
The search for Trayvon Law, the final suspect in Princess Tolliver's murder, became a priority for law enforcement agencies across Florida. When Sheriff Dennis Lemma announced the arrest of 13 individuals related to the shooting in February, Trayvon Law was the only one yet to be found. His status as a fugitive kept the case in the headlines and reminded the community that justice remained incomplete. In April 2024, more than 14 months after Princess's murder, the manhunt finally concluded. His arrest comes months after Seminole County Sheriff Dennis Lemma announced 13 arrests in the investigation. Trayvon Law was taken into custody and brought to face charges for his role in the drive-by shooting that had claimed Princess's life. The final arrest marked a significant milestone in the case, but it also highlighted how long it can take to achieve complete justice in complex gang-related crimes. Princess's family had waited over a year to see the last person responsible for their daughter's death brought to justice. During that time, they had to live with the knowledge that someone who had participated in her murder was walking free. Law's capture meant that all 14 individuals believed to be involved in the shooting were now in custody. The completion of the arrest allowed prosecutors to move forward with building their cases against each defendant and gave Princess's family the knowledge that everyone responsible for their daughter's death would face trial. With all suspects in custody, the focus shifted to the legal proceedings that would determine the consequences each defendant would face. Princess's family could finally begin to hope for the kind of accountability that might provide some sense of closure, even though nothing could bring their daughter back or undo the trauma of her senseless murder. As of April 2024, all 14 individuals believed to be involved in Princess Tolliver's murder have been arrested and are facing serious charges. The completion of these arrests represents a significant victory for law enforcement and provides Princess's family with the knowledge that everyone responsible for their daughter's death will face trial. However, arrests are just the beginning of a legal process that could take years to fully resolve. Princess's father, who attended Sheriff Lemma's press conference announcing the arrests, embodies the dignity and strength that families of murder victims must find in their darkest moments. His presence at the announcement showed a father determined to see justice for his daughter, even though no amount of legal accountability could bring her back or heal the wound left by her senseless death.
Sit out on the internet. I see my daughter dead on a Sprinter van on the internet. That's just hard. It was just 14 people are off the street and no one else can be harmed by them. They deserve. Jails are too good of a place for them.
Princess's story has also contributed to ongoing conversations about celebrity responsibility and the real-world consequences of public feuds. While freedom of expression protects artists' rights to address conflicts publicly, Princess's death demonstrates that these conflicts can have fatal consequences for people who have no connection to the disputes. The legal proceedings against the 14 arrested gang members will likely take years to complete. Each defendant will have the opportunity to present their case, and prosecutors will need to prove the specific role each person played in planning and executing the attack. For Princess's family, this means years of court appearances, testimony, and reliving the trauma of her death. Princess Aura Tolliver was 31 years old when she died. She had plans, dreams, relationships, and a future that was stolen from her by people who didn't know her name. Her murder wasn't a result of choices she made or risks she took. It was a result of a culture that allows celebrity conflicts to escalate into community violence without considering the innocent people who might pay the price. Justice for Princess Tolliver means more than just convicting her killers. It means creating a world where music fans can attend concerts without fear, where celebrity disputes don't endanger communities, and where innocent people are protected from violence they have no connection to. Her legacy demands nothing less than fundamental change in how we address the conflicts that claimed her life.